Our topic is obesity in society by Daniel,
Connor,
and Landon. So first I'm going to give you some context. What is obesity? Obesity is classically defined as excessive amounts of fat in the body, usually like 35 plus on the body mass index or the BMI scale. And usually obesity can become a serious factor in many preventable diseases, such as cardiovascular, respiratory, musculoskeletal, gastrointestinal, and insulin resistance type of diseases. Also, joint and muscle problems and type 2 diabetes, just to name a few, can arise from obesity. So our problem was that about 110 million Americans today are obese. That's almost 1 in 3 people in America. And about 2.1 to 2 billion people in the world are obese. So that's like saying 3 in 10 people in the entire world are obese. In the past 30 years, rates of obesity have been skyrocketing. And in some places, they've nearly tripled in the past 30 years. As you can see here, every country is represented by 3 lines. First in 1990, then 2000, then 2009. And you can see most in the United States on the very right, how much it has increased in the past 30 years. It has become a growing concern that will almost certainly lower the quality of life of obese people.
Okay, so our first solution is to prevent childhood obesity in young teens, children, and infants. So there are 2 steps mainly to doing this solution. The first one is to bring easily accessible information to them. So whether that be through school, bringing people to school to talk to them, or at places where it's easily accessible to teens, like on social media, and making the topic much more known about. The second is by promoting healthier eating in schools, cafeterias, at restaurants, like when you have the kids' meal option, making that a little healthier. So some pros of these would be it actually lowers childhood obesity rates. And it does this, again, by presenting it in an accessible way. So some cons, though, some pros of the second option would be that it counters the first, cons of the first, which the cons of the first would be that it can be, like, they don't absorb the information. So the second backs that up with putting the healthy food in their face and letting them try it and experiment with them for themselves. So some little limitations are it's only a preventable measure, so it doesn't eradicate the problem, it just prevents it from future generations. So there are still pre-existing conditions out there that still need to be solved. And the second would be that, I mean, using Michael's actually as an example, as you can see there, a salad is $4, and then like a piece of candy is $2. So unhealthy eating is cheaper than like a healthier option, which can be kind of like a determining factor for many schools. So some cool implications are one program called Kids Go For Your Life, which is a program that targets younglings and promotes healthy eating. And according to BMC Public Health, they do it by improving the socio, cultural, and policy and physical environments in children's care and educational settings. So that means by going to like daycares and schools and putting that information out there. And the second is in a documentary used a lot in Daniel's essay, which is called Supersize Me, which I'm sure a lot of us have watched because of health. And the director and the guy that's like doing the experiment goes to a school called Appleton Central Alternative High School, and it's full of kids with like behavioral issues and that aren't acting correctly. And then when he goes there, he finds out that they don't do it through like method at school, but they actually do it by dieting. And what they do is they use a program called Natural Ovens, where they get foods that, like diets that consist of fruits and veggies, and that helps the kids actually act better because they're not getting jackfruit processed sugar that makes them more hyper and more active.
Okay, so another solution to the problem of obesity is the removal of food deserts. Food deserts are defined by the USDA as areas that are vapid of fresh fruit, vegetables, and other healthful foods, usually found in impoverished areas. This is mostly due to a lack of farmers markets, grocery stores, and other healthy food providers. And this little diagram here, it's kind of hard to see from where you are, but it shows how bad some areas in the country are for like food deserts. So the darker ones over here are really bad, and kind of over here by us in California is not that bad. Some pros to removing food deserts would be that it provides food that is healthy where there is none, it creates business, which will improve the economy, and it prevents obesity in general. The cons to removing food deserts would be that it allows, although it introduces healthy options to areas that don't have them, people don't have to make the decision to eat it. Also, it can be pretty expensive to build the stores and everything that goes into introducing a healthy food. The limitations of removing food deserts is that because of the possibility that people may not eat the healthier food, it is not always 100% effective in every area that it's implemented. There have been many instances where it's been extremely effective in areas, and there's been many instances where it hasn't really been effective at all. The implications of removing a food desert are that the options for healthy, wholesome food will be implemented into areas that do not have it available, creating a healthy, balanced diet for those who eat it.
Okay, so we believe that preventing obesity in children is more beneficial than eliminating food deserts, because stopping childhood obesity will prevent obesity in adults. And this is relatable to just thinking about it as killing a virus at its source, and the virus is obesity, and the source would be children. So that just basically eliminates obesity for the future. And from Mashid Deggans and Nuri Akhtar Dinesh's journal, they say almost all public health researchers and clinicians agree that prevention could be the key strategy for controlling the current epidemic of obesity. So they say that prevention is the best way to eliminate obesity, but preventing it in children will clearly eliminate obesity. And obesity has been a growing concern in the past years, and there needs to be an effective solution. And we believe preventing obesity in children is the most feasible approach, as it lessens the chance of a child becoming obese and staying that way. Thank you.
Terrific. I have a couple questions for you guys. Okay, let's just move straight across. So Daniel, how did the content of the team presentation change as a result of your discussion?
So I think we really tried to discuss a lot about Landon's presentation. He had cultural and social, and he was talking about how nowadays the fat acceptance movements, they're saying it's okay to have a bit more weight, but we said that's not really it doesn't really apply to our presentation, because we're saying obesity is a problem, it should be eliminated. And even though he made a good point that maybe being a little bit overweight, it's not gonna kill you per se, but we think that we should eliminate it altogether.
Ian, how did the group decide to include or exclude Connor's perspective lens from the overall presentation?
So we decided actually to exclude it because we felt that the problem, his was a historical lens. So mainly what his did was look back in future generations and compare that to what's going on now. And we thought that we should really focus on what's going on now and coming up with a solution for what's going on in our society rather than what happened 40 or 50 years ago.
Let's see, Connor. In the future, what would you change about the way your group works together to improve the final presentation going better? What things did you do well, and what things could you guys have done better?
Okay, well, I think that our communication probably could have been better, meet during school and everything like that. But something that we did really well was include all of our lenses and try and cooperate and agree what is going to go into the presentation. And so I think we were really cordial and we agreed a lot on what we were going to put in the presentation.
And then finally, Dan, what's an example of a compelling argument from one of the other guys' papers that you guys decided to exclude, and why?
Okay, definitely Ian's, because he went on through an economic lens, and when I was reading his paper, I wasn't even thinking about all the things he was saying, how working out and getting exercise is costly, and just going and even getting all this food that's cheap can actually make you really obese. So I was just thinking that was really interesting, but we had to exclude it from our presentation because we were trying to say that it was a problem, and we didn't want to bring up the fact that trying to lose weight is costly, like trying to get exercise and get your own like machine at your house, which is definitely expensive.
Thanks, guys. Okay, everybody, go ahead and finish up your comments for those guys and deliver it to them.